should we move now onto the practicalities of home working? And just to start, you've all previously worked in offices. What is it you actually miss about working in an office, if there's anything at all?
Nothing.
Nothing. Is that unanimous?
Not entirely from me, because I did actually go. I was self-employed and then went back to an office. Can you believe? It wasn't because I missed the office. It was because of other situations happening. But one thing I did miss was the teamwork. Yeah. And I think you can set it up, and I think with social media it's much easier now to build yourself a virtual team. But I certainly did miss. You do have to put an effort into being part of a team when you're working from home, whereas if you're in an office, it's a lot easier because people are physically there to talk to. So that is a factor.
I've seen teams that actually work better when they become remote workers than they were when they were office-based. And that's because, and I'm talking about well-implemented schemes, but that's because the manager and the team put team building, whereas when everybody there can be an attitude that, well, when everybody meets around the coffee machine in the morning, we really don't need to do anything about it because it just happens. But maybe that's something for me to expand upon when we come to the later section, which is about better implementation.
Sure.
I work in a team of 4 now, and I'm up in just outside Edinburgh. My business partner is down near Brighton. And 2 of our other people, one's in the Midlands and the other is in Bournemouth, and two of them I've never met at all, and my business partner I've only ever met twice, and we actually decided to launch the business before we'd ever actually met each other. So I don't think it's that important to be face to face, and as Shirley said, it works perfectly for us. There's never that feeling that I've had enough of this person, because I can always close my computer and have a rest from them.
Yes.
But I think that's a recent thing, because having been...
I mean, I said nothing, but I think the thing is that I'm talking about I don't miss anything because I have the mechanisms for compensating for the fact that then people are not there. Things like social media, the telephone, VoIP calls, instant messaging, texting, all of those sorts of things. So
there's actually as well amazing online project management tools now where we can all log in and see what each other have done and what needs to be done next. I mean, there's just really no need to be standing around the cooler discussing what has to happen.
Sure.
But I think that's quite a recent thing. I mean, it's because having been self-employed and then gone back to a job and then come out of it again, things have massively improved, in that 3 years, social media and instant messaging. And I mean, I know the technology was probably there before, but it wasn't widely used, and you need it to be widely used to get that team thing happening, I think, unless you've got a manager who is pushing it forward, of course, and that's a different situation.
That's the other. Sure. You also need the organisational culture that says this is a good way to communicate. I mean, I've read recently in the press about all the organisations that forbid people to use Twitter or Facebook because they might say something nasty about their organisation. Well, they should be much more worried about the fact that they've got nasty things to say about their organisation than the fact that they're saying them on Twitter. It's not to do with social media. It's to do with how good that particular organisation is to work for.
Well, you've all honed in on the technology and how it's made it so much easier. But just to flip it around, can that also be one of the biggest obstacles towards home working? When it goes down, or would you say that that's not the biggest obstacle? It might be that travel restrictions are a bigger obstacle, or perhaps the company not supporting. Erica, would you like to answer that one?
The only obstacle that I've found is that actually some of the technology can be a distraction. So you do have to be, I think you do have to be quite disciplined to work for yourself or to work for a company remotely. I would say that's probably the biggest. I don't have concerns over things going down. We use a range of technologies, and I don't have a particular problem with things going down. I've never had anything go down on me. My business partner once had a webinar go down on her, but we always find other solutions. It's no different from having the very, very occasional power cut in the office. That's how often it happens for me. So,
Lovely. Okay, and Helen, have you got an answer to that one?
Well, no, I think the technology is very reliable, and I think also now that we're getting the smartphones and so on. A lot of the time, if your computer did go down, you can pick it up on your phone or your iPad or whatever, So there's backups, and also the fact that you haven't spent 3 hours driving to a location. Means that if it does go down, you can say, okay, well, we'll do it this afternoon or we'll do it tomorrow, and nobody's really wasted the 3 hours there and the 3 hours back,
sure,
as you would if you were travelling.
The time.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, lovely. And Shirley, would you say that technology is a help or a hindrance?
Depends on the people and the technology. I think it's a great help. I agree that it's fairly reliable nowadays, and there are so many alternatives. If you lose your broadband connection, unless you're really out in the sticks, there's probably a Starbucks or somewhere that you can go to log in if you've got something urgent to do. I think one of the dangers is that what we're talking about is always on technology, always there technology. There's always somebody you can communicate with, some email that you could write, some report that you could read. And I think one of the dangers is that people end up with the expectation that you're always going to be there. So if you work from home, hopefully you have somewhere separate that you can shut the door. I don't advocate that you sort of stick to rigid hours at home. Certainly it doesn't work for me. I lead an integrated life. What happens to be most important to do next, so I don't sort of sit at my desk at 9 o'clock and then sit there until 5. But it is very easy for it to just take over your life. And if you've got a manager who thinks, right, well, we've given you this smartphone, so, we ought to be able to call you any time, day or night, when you're in the middle of your holiday, when you're in the beach, whatever, then that's a disadvantage. But I don't think it's all about managers who expect too much. I think we've kind of got into this situation where we think that people expect instant answers. I mean, I'm on when you used to work in business, where you used to write a letter, put a stamp on it, send it off, and if you got an answer in 2 weeks, you thought you'd done pretty well. I've actually had people. I received an email. I cannot remember the exact context, but I received this email with some questions in it, and half an hour later, I had a phone call saying, was there a problem, because I hadn't had a reply yet. And I think that's just it's going too much in that direction, and I think that's why the good implementations have a discussion out front about what the expectations are about availability and contact and how often you're going to be there.
Sure.
So yeah, the technology is great. It's neither good nor bad. It's how it gets used and what the expectations of it are, I think, that are the key to how well home-based working works.
Okay. But just, Helen, you mentioned that you can end up losing 3 hours just travelling around. I mean, would you say that the time that you managed to save through not having to commute is a massive benefit, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, my background is in training, and I used to do a day's work and then have to drive 2-3 hours there to get there and 2-3 hours to get home some days, because I had to travel the whole country and occasionally abroad as well. And I took the decision before I had kids that I just didn't want to spend my life on the motorway anymore. And so I tried to move into a job where there was more option to do online training, although there's a lot of there's some barriers and perceptions around that not being as effective, and it is a different way of delivery, so that is a factor as well. But yeah, I got sick of spending my life on the M1, and it's the traffic situation's only getting worse, and to me it seems absolutely crazy that we've got this amazing technology that can bring us together all over the world, yet we're still spending hours clogging up the motorways. So I think there has to be a way forward just for that reason.
Okay, lovely, thank you.